406.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 411 from 406. My name is Chewie, and I am joined once again by my brother from another mother, Mr. Pip. How are you, sir?
Doing fantastic. It's good to be back in my happy place. This is the place where I can go to escape, to talk about all the dumb bullshit that I like and that you like. And it's just fun. It's such a relief to be back. How are you? How are things?
I'm good, man. It's been, let's see. As we always do. I actually, we've been doing pretty good here. So this is going to be episode 106.
Wow.
Of the podcast, believe it or not. And we recorded our last episode. You want to take a guess? So today is February 5th. You want to take a guess when we recorded our last episode?
I'm sorry, it's March 5th. Yeah, that's correct.
Yes. Yes.
I think we recorded on it was obviously February. So February, let me think here. Today's the 5th. If I cheat and look at a calendar just to see my Thursdays, was it the 12th?
No, it was the 5th. I fucked up when I said it was the
Okay,
all right.
I guess I should have seen where that was going. Yeah.
Yeah. So for us, that's not bad. A month in between, like, it's not bad.
It's not bad. And to be honest, we tried to do this last week and I pushed out because I wasn't feeling well. Okay. So we almost squeezed in 2 in 1 month. And speaking of 2 2 consecutive, this has got to be the first time I should chat GPT this since we've been talking about AI off the record and look, but when was the last time we had 2 straight months of Friday the 13th coming up? Because
Jesus,
next week is Friday the 13th, and last month, right, the day before Valentine's Day was Friday the 13th.
Yes.
When was the last time that's happened? That's pretty fascinating.
Oh, I don't know. That's crazy. Well, and I guess the fact that we didn't chat last Thursday actually worked out, at least for me, because I did something else that night. I went to the movies that night.
That's right. What a nice segue, man. You are fucking crushing segues these days.
Look at that, right? Yeah. So Scream 7 opened up that night, and I went to the movies on an opening night. I don't go to the movies nearly as often as I would like, but I knew that, and again, we've talked about Scream 7 multiple times on this podcast. I knew I wanted to see this in the theater, and I wanted to get there early because I did not want to be spoiled. And I'm happy to say I did. I think I only saw maybe even one trailer. I think we talked on the last podcast. I didn't go out of my way to skip stuff, but I didn't. So I went in completely blind. And I saw it on, I don't know if that's considered preview night or opening night or what have you, that Thursday. I know, did you see it?
I did see it, but before you start talking about the movie itself, I'd like to ask, what was the theater like? Like, what was the attendance? Did you have a good show? Was a good gate for it, or was it just kind of? I'm curious to know who goes to see Scream movies these days. Is it mostly Gen Xers like us? Is it younger kids who maybe picked up around Scream 5 and 6? Like, what's the demo?
My demo. So to be fair, I went to a 7:30 showing.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a theater that I think they probably had 5 showings that night of Scream. And there was 2 or 3 theaters that you've been to within probably a 12-mile radius.
Mm-hmm.
That between those 3 theaters, there was probably another 30 screenings of Scream that night.
Which one did you go see it at?
I went down into Hudson, into that there's a Regal down there.
Which one is that? So is that the one that we saw? So I can timestamp a few of this. Is it the one we saw, Hot Tub Time Machine? The one that's sort of down in the valley or whatever.
No, that's Valley View. I don't know that you've actually ever been to this theater. Now that I think about it, unless we saw Batman and
Superman at one of them. It's kind of like a that one was kind of like a dingier theater.
Yeah, it might have been that one. It might have
Okay.
been that one. It's yeah. So yeah, yeah, it's not like the state of the art theater, but it does have the stadium seating and the
Nice.
individual seats and that kind of thing. So I'm
Got
to
it.
the point in my movie going career where I won't go to a movie unless I've got unless I can reserve a seat. I'm not going to go and just like hopefully get a seat.
Sure.
I'm just not at this point. Yeah. So there was, I don't know, this theater was relatively small. It might have had 65 seats in it. It wasn't one of these huge ones. There might have been 20 people in it. Maybe 15. The group ahead of me was an African American family, a mom, and I think maybe two of her daughters and like two friends, probably in the 15 to 18 range. And then there was a couple other couples my age, you know, early 40s, probably knew the Scream movies when they came out, the originals.
Yeah.
So we'll call them Gen Xers, and then to your point, that probably that crew that came to Scream with 5 and 6.
Okay. So a good mix.
Yeah. It was, and and even though it was, there wasn't a ton of people in the theater, they were engaged. They were not rowdy, but they were, like laughed when they should have laughed and oohed when they should have oohed and jumped when they should have jumped and that kind of thing. So it was, I would consider it a quote unquote, it was a smart horror crowd, if that makes any sense.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. So before I even talk about the movie at all, I have to talk about a couple of the trailers that I saw in front of this. I'm assuming we got the same trailers everywhere, but maybe not. I don't know. I had no idea there was another scary movie coming out, which made me
anybody
very
did.
okay. Is that
I don't
okay?
even know if it was announced. I think that's when most people figured it
Okay.
out because I saw a lot of people like really surprised online about that.
Okay. So I was pumped to see that. I really enjoy. I mean, those are not great movies by any stretch, but again, I love the Scream franchise. I love horror in general, and that's what they're spoofing. So I was really excited to see that. The opening scene in that trailer was clearly a ripoff of Scream 6 in the subway. Which again, I was pumped to see kind of that crew back again. And again, I didn't know it, so I was really excited to see that. The other one specifically that springs to mind, and I think was it called Passenger? Was that the name of the movie?
Yeah, I saw that one too.
And the only thing, it was just an amazing jump scare in the trailer. That is what made me think about it. I couldn't tell you anything. I don't know anything about, but the jump scare in the trailer was outstanding. And I'm kind of bummed that they put in the trailer because now it's going to be in the movie, and you're not going to get that scare in the movie. But at least for the trailer, it was great.
Did it give you any Nightmare on Elm Street 4 vibes because of the looping thing? Right? The guy's driving down the highway and he sees the same thing multiple times. It gave me sort of that that scene where Alice is
in the theater, right?
Driving, yeah, or when she comes out of the diner and she's like, I'm driving, and then they both get in the truck and then they speed away, and then that scene happens multiple times. It's not the same thing by any means, but it was a nice little. It made me think of that, so it was endearing to me right away.
I did think about it. I did. It's funny you say that. I did. Yes, I absolutely did. So
good.
I can only assume that they do those sorts of things very much on purpose.
Yeah, maybe. I wouldn't know, but I would say if they did, that was a really nice touch.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So how do you want to do this? Do you want to, I don't think we're going to do a deep dive or anything like that, but like, what do you think? Is there, you got a format? How do you want to do this?
Well, I know you're a metrics guy. Did you pull any metrics on this? Did you I thought I saw the box was just under 100 million for opening weekend last time I saw. Was that what you saw? Like 90,
It
95,
is.
something like
It
that?
is. I saw that. Yes, and I believe that makes it the largest opening in Scream franchise history. I also saw that as a franchise with that $100 million opener, it put the franchise over $1 billion as a franchise, which is, and again, of course, it's a newer franchise, so you've got the inflation numbers and those kind of things. But $1 billion for a horror franchise is just
Yeah.
awesome, and that, I don't know, it kind of it makes me proud, if that if that makes any sense,
Yeah, I
just
think
because,
it's good, and it certainly
yeah.
means we're getting Scream 8. I'm pretty sure that's already been confirmed at this point. Uh,
I saw that today. It was greenlit. Yes, officially.
after this
Yeah.
weekend. Now, what that means, who knows? I do remember that Scream 7 was greenlit shortly after Scream 6 came out. So,
Yep.
I think that's a good thing. But yeah, I don't know how we want to get into this either, because I couldn't do a deep dive. I cannot do that after a single viewing, because I'm trying to take in the experience on the
Yes.
first sit through. Excuse me. And then, the deep dives are really when I can watch it on TV at home, where I can pause it and write down some thoughts and things like that. But there were definitely things that I collected along the way. I guess I'll start with maybe my overall impression of the movie, and then try to turn it to you. I thought it was good. I thought it was entertaining. I don't know if I can give it much more than that, but I will say that they had some creative kills, like they do. They leaned a lot on the nostalgia factor. Some of it I thought was a little bit superfluous. I don't think it was necessary. In hindsight, I didn't need to see Roman Bridger or
Hmm.
even Dewey or any of that stuff. Like, when I saw they were bringing all those characters back, I was wondering how they were going to do it. And then as soon as I figured out how they were bringing Stu back, it became pretty clear that that's the approach that they were going to take. Um, but I will say that um, I definitely felt the loss of Jenna Ortega and Melissa Barrera in this. I really wished that they were in this. And that's not to say that what I saw I didn't like, but you know, you and I talked extensively about the last movie, and how we were really, really high on that one, and that was really, in our opinion, sending this franchise in a really good direction. And I think we both kind of decided we didn't know if we really needed Neve Campbell anymore. Or at least I had definitely come to that conclusion, especially based off of her performance in Scream 5, because I didn't feel it. I felt like she kind of phoned it in. And I do like what they did here. I don't think they took any real significant chances with anything. I think they played
Yeah.
it really, really safe the whole time, which was a little frustrating for me, because you bring back Neve Campbell, you bring back Courtney Cox, you kind of hope that something of some level of substance is going to happen, because I mean, it feels like almost literally every movie, Neve Campbell's getting chased and Courtney Cox shows up to try to help her, and it's kind of very rinse repeat at this point. I don't think Courtney Cox added anything to this movie. I don't think Gail Weathers added anything. And I'll be honest, I don't think this is Neve. I don't think Neve Campbell's performance was any better than Scream 5, but I will say her character felt like it was written a little better. There were some more layers to what she was dealing with, because this had to do with her daughter, and she was a mother, and she was, they made a point in the beginning to sort of recreate the beginning of the original Scream, but from the perspective of Sydney as the mother, instead of Sydney as the daughter with the boyfriend crawling in the window, that kind of thing. They basically did that almost shot for shot. And if you notice,
Yeah.
even the acoustic version of the Blue Oyster Cult song "Don't Fear the Reaper" was playing in the background when her daughter and her boyfriend were making out on the bed and everything. So like, it was pretty much exact, right on. But it was Sydney bursting through the door trying to break everything up. So but I don't know, like, I liked it. I like how they used Matthew Lillard. I think if they were going to bring him back, that was the most practical way to do it. And of course, they were going to use some kind of AI because Scream has always been very meta, even if they didn't really get as meta as I feel like they have in the past. Um, I'm trying to think of what else kind of struck me. The core two, is that what we're supposed to call them now? I thought they were kind of
I
worthless.
guess, yeah.
They got
Yeah.
stabbed again and lived. So right, like I definitely took note that like bitches get stabbed, but they just don't die in this movie. Um, or in this series, this franchise, it seems like. So, yeah, I mean, I was maybe a tad bit underwhelmed by the reveal at the end. The ending was in terms of who the killers were. I figured out who one of them was pretty early because, and I guess we should call this out if we haven't already. Spoiler alert: we're going to talk about this whole thing. So,
Yes.
if we haven't spoiled it already, then stop the recording and go see the movie. But they had Ethan Embry, of all people, as one of the killers, who I recognized as a very older version of the guy I used to know from Empire Records and Can't Hardly Wait and Vegas Vacation. But I figured out he was one of the killers almost right away because he's like, she shows him a picture of Matthew Lillard, and we all know he's dead. Like we know that he's not alive, or at least we're pretty sure. And he's like, "Yeah, I know that guy. I saw him." And it became kind of obvious at that point for me, anyways, that he must be involved somehow because he was playing that off. And I think that they made it pretty clear that if we're only seeing Stu on video, then he's clearly not alive. At least that was my summation of everything. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's just kind of I probably have more to add to that, but I can't just throw it all up at once. So I guess I'll kick it back to you, and then hopefully that'll trigger some more memories and thoughts about the movie. But like you said, your one word response and review to that over text was satisfying. So you
Hmm.
obviously liked it. You came away with a positive experience with that. What would you add to what I said, or how would you or argue with it for that matter? What did you think? Talk about what you liked and what
Yeah.
you didn't like.
Yeah, you're right. Satisfying was my kind of my one word review for you because I did not want to spoil it for you because I know
Hmm.
I did see it before you. Um, you know, not perfect, far from it. Not franchise redefining or anything like that, but again, really satisfying for fans of the franchise. I thought. I agree with most everything that you said. I also once I figured out who Ethan Embry was, and to me he's Rusty Griswold, because I've actually never seen Empire Records.
Oh, such a good movie.
Yeah, I know. But as soon as because and he was almost unrecognizable. Um,
Yeah.
but once I figured out who I'm like, oh, he's got to be one of them. And I can confidently say I knew he was one of them. Um, and I kind of had a tinge of my spidey senses were up over the other one, Anna Camp, only because like she's an actress that I know that I should know. I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen her in anything. But I know she's like another named like another actress that I
Yeah.
should know.
Hmm.
Um, and in these movies, when there's an awful lot of kind of exposition dump, like specifically with Ethan Embry's character, when he's like, "Oh yeah, come on in. I'm an orderly. Come on in. Oh no, no. You don't need a search warrant to search the dead guy's room. No. Like yeah, that one to me was pretty obvious. Um, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie um, up until the killer reveal. But even then, I had enjoyed it so much that it didn't ruin it for me.
Yeah.
The reveal was kind of like, yeah, kind of like you said, ho hum. The kind of Anna Camp's explanation of why she did this,
Yeah.
what she was Sydney's neighbor, and she was
I didn't
upset with
get
Sydney
that.
that I and again, I only saw it once. I think it was she was upset that Sydney didn't didn't go to New York, and I don't know. I don't know. It was pretty thin. Um, I think at the end of the day, she was just kind of psycho. She read Sydney's book and glommed onto. I don't know. I would be making shit up at this point.
It seemed thin to me for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I will say though, like you're 7 movies deep. Like you're kind of running out of people that might want to kill Sydney. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, apparently not, but you're running out of connective tissue
connective
to
tissue. Yeah, exactly.
the original, because that's
Right.
what I think after, because obviously, as I mentioned, like Scream 7 is heavy on nostalgia. It's, we start in the Stumacher house and we bring back Laurie Metcalf, we bring back all of these faces and these characters that we know, but at the end of the day, the two killers have no connective tissue to the beginning or to the people originally. And that to me was just kind of like, ugh. I mean, I didn't want it to be Stu. I didn't necessarily want him to be the killer, but I wanted there to be something connecting to why we're trying to be so nostalgic, and why these murders were happening. And unfortunately, what it felt like was the nostalgia was just the gateway drug to get the Gen Xers back in the seats. And I don't know, maybe that's not true, but
yeah, no, I think you're right. I think is it Spyglass Films? Is that the producers of this? Whoever the movie house is, like
I don't remember. It was Dimension a long time ago, but
okay,
I don't know
but
if it's still, if that still even exists.
but whoever it is now, like I think to your point, I think once the kind of real world stuff happened with Jenna Ortega and Melissa Barrera, they were kind of screwed, right? Like if they're gonna have Scream 7, they can no longer have their 2 stars of that movie. And at the time, you remember Sydney wasn't in Scream 6 because there was real world tension around contracts and price, and so they kind of had to be like, oh shit, like if we're gonna make this movie, we gotta, we can't have the what are their names? Samantha and anyways, the sisters.
Oh,
you
yeah.
gotta
I don't
bring
remember
back
the characters' names.
yeah. But Samantha and Tara, I believe. So you're gonna have to bring back Neve Campbell, and I think they kind of had to do something to get that movie made, right? So they had to back up the Brinks truck, and then they probably had to rewrite what they originally had thought that script was going to be. I can't imagine
a lot of it. They had gone.
to. Yeah.
There's a lot of public scuttlebutt about the fact that they spent like $500,000 on a screen rewrite after Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega exited the scene.
Oh, is that right?
So
okay. Yeah.
I mean, which $500,000 I don't think is a lot in the context of what this means, but they ended up paying Neve Campbell like I thought like $7 or $8 million or something like that, which I definitely think she deserves. If they're going to bring her back, she's been in all these movies. I think that they should pay her fairly, but I also think they should give her character some reason to be there, other than just being stalked for no apparent reason.
Yeah. Now the one thing when you were kind of giving your overview that I disagree with, I actually think Neve Campbell's really good here. I think she is. Yeah, I think she is really, because I think the character is now kind of catching up to where Neve Campbell is in her life. She's now, she plays mom very, very well. I don't think she played teenager all that well. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
And
so I could go along with that.
So I think we didn't mention Joel McHale, who is the husband. I think the scenes with her, I think, are very, very, very good. I think the scenes with when she is playing mom to Tatum, I think those are very good too. You mentioned the one at the very beginning where they're redoing, but like that angst between mother and daughter, I think comes across really well in this movie. Yeah, and I think a lot of that is on Neve.
That's a good point. So let me maybe amend what I said. I think some of the scenes with her and her daughter and the struggle of her daughter being the one targeted, I think those were done pretty well. I think Neve as a target of yet another murderer, it seemed a little bit copy paste. So I'm expecting her. I mean, I know this isn't reality. Like Scream is not real life, but if I'm Neve Campbell, if I'm someone who's been targeted to be murdered like 7 different times or 6 different times, whatever. Like, I'm fucking flipping out. I'm like, what the hell's going on? What did I do to deserve? Like, I'm on the brink of losing my own mind and my own mental stability. And I just feel like she is way too healthy for any of this. Like, something has got to be breaking. If they really wanted to take a chance and make a good story out of this, they might shake her up a little bit. Like, even, and this is maybe not a fair comparison, but take Jamie Lee Curtis when they brought her back for Halloween. Now, there's a lot more time that passed between Halloween 1 and Halloween 2018, right? That was the one.
Mm-hmm.
But she was fucked up. Like, she was mentally just not with it. Like, she was a recluse. She was a prepper. She was all of these things. And like Neve Campbell's a suburban mom. Like, it just doesn't, to me, like, I expect more scars. I expect more trauma to affect her life. I expect her to be way overprotective with her daughter, which she was a little bit, but it wasn't to the neurotic level that I would have expected for someone who almost got killed like 6 different times. So I think maybe that's, and maybe that's not a reflection of her performance as much as it is the writing and the direction there. But like, I wanted to see more escalation, severity. I wanted to see her really freak the fuck out, and I didn't. I didn't feel like I got that. So that maybe is where I'm coming from on that. But that's not to say that I think I agree with exactly what you said. I think that was a much better way to articulate it than I did, which is like her relationship with her daughter and how that thing happened. That was much more economically played out, I think, than just the I'm Sidney Prescott and I'm tired of getting fucking murdered all the time.
Right.
Yeah. That was the weird part. And by the way, you said Joel McHale. I meant to bring that up. That felt weird to me. I don't know. There was the chemistry wasn't there, first of all. Second of all, what happened to McDreamy? What happened to
I don't know.
What's his nuts?
Patrick
Dempsey, the African Anteater Ritual. What happened to him? Like, did they drop some line of exposition and I missed it? Because she was married to him, right? Didn't she marry him? And I thought, wasn't there a scene at the beginning of one of the movies where she's pushing a stroller with his kids? Or am I misremembering that?
She's pushing a stroller. That was in Scream 5. She's pushing a stroller.
Right.
And she says she's married to Mark, but he's not in it. So she drops the line Mark, which
so did they
Joel
recast
McHale's
him?
Well, I don't know if she just happened to marry another Mark or
no, okay, so I'm figuring this out. It was the same character, different casting, because Mark was a cop in the third.
He was
movie.
a cop. He was a cop.
And he's a cop in this movie too. So wow, what a really bizarre recasting choice. You go from Patrick Dempsey to Joel McHale. Like, right. I guess that was supposed to be the same guy. We were supposed to believe that, but I didn't.
So let me see. That was Scream 3, correct?
Correct.
That he was in that movie.
And we never saw him again. I think we actually may have seen him in like an 8x10 photograph on her desk or something like that in Scream 4, maybe.
I just went back to look, and it's not the same character. That Mark is Mark. That Mark is Mark Kincaid in Scream 3, and Joel McHale plays Mark Evans. So they are not the same character.
So they named him the exact same.
Yeah,
but it's wow. That's that. Yeah. I don't like that. Like, that's weird.
Well, if I had to guess, I'm guessing it was Mark Kincaid when you were pushing the stroller, and they probably couldn't get Patrick Dempsey. So they said, oh, we'll just bring this other guy and we'll name him Mark, would be my guess.
Yeah, that's
I don't know.
That is a sloppy sleight of hand, in my opinion.
It is.
What it is. You know, that's neither here nor there. That didn't affect my position on the movie in any way.
I had a couple kills that I thought were really, really well done.
Yeah, go for it.
So there were let me see, 2 in particular that were really well done. I'll start with the one that I liked the best, and the one that stood out the most. I don't know, the one in the pizza parlor with the beer tap through the head. It was it was a
Yeah,
little campy, and it was a little out of
it was
um
very campy.
it was a little out of character even for a Scream movie, but it was really well done. Um, until you think about the fact that that was either the orderly or that was that kid's mom doing
Yeah.
that to him. One of the other. I don't know. Um,
I hate to say this, but I'm gonna throw it out there. I don't love the idea of a female killer in this series because I feel like there's so much physicality that
I agree.
I don't it takes me out of it. The suspension of disbelief around a female being able to do some of the things that they do in these movies. It just it seems a little bit contrived at that point, and that's not a knock on anything. It's just that I'm like, there's no way somebody like Anna Camp, who is probably tiny, could ever do something like that.
I don't disagree, and I don't know this for sure, but I don't get the impression that Ethan Embry is all that big either. Um,
Yeah, right.
but to your point, though, I've always had that problem with Ghostface. Ghostface is borderline like indestructible in all of these movies. It's
Yeah,
crazy the damage that she takes,
yeah. He's
and
built
it's
like
crazy. Yeah.
he's built like Jason, but moves like Freddy. Like
Yes.
it's sort of this weird, like super agile, not afraid to run, but also like immense strength. And like that's Ghostface in every one of these movies. Which I
Yeah.
get it. You have to do that. Like that's how you create the fear and the the concern and all that stuff. But
Well,
also
but
it's like when you pull off the mask at the end, I'm like, really? Like I kind of hope this next scary movie does one of those things where it's like we don't know who the killer is, and the killer pulls off
it's
the
like a
mask. It's like
midget.
some 80-year-old woman or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
Like you did all that stuff. Like that
Yeah.
would be a great sort of meta joke.
Yeah. Um, so okay, so yeah, so there was that kill, and then I really enjoyed the first of Tatum's friends that got killed. I don't remember what her name was, but she was the one that was like suspended in the play.
Oh, that's
And
Mackenzie Grace from the Ghostbusters movies, and
okay, okay,
she's blowing up. She's huge. She's super popular right now. I think that's her name, Mackenzie
okay.
Grace
McKenna,
or McKenna.
something.
McKenna. Oh
Let's go to
man,
the Googles here.
yeah.
We'll
Go to
find it here.
Google's quick. Correct me there. But she was she played the young
McKenna Grace. Yeah.
McKenna Grace. Thank you. She played the young Spangler in the Ghostbusters movies. With the dark curly hair, so she's almost
Holy shit, that was
unrecognizable.
her? I didn't know that.
Yes, it is. That is
Oh wow,
100%
I had
her.
no idea.
Yeah,
Wow.
she looks
Okay.
a little bit different when she takes off. You go look at it now, and you won't be able to unsee it for sure.
Wow. Okay. No, I had no idea. Okay, she looked good in this movie.
Yeah,
Not that
she
she
did.
didn't look. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I really like that kill. One more thing. Speaking of like kind of the way these characters look, I could not, and I even put this in my scare tissue review. The gal that played Tatum, is it Isabella May? Isabella May.
Something like that.
I I could not get out of my head that she looks like Jennifer Lawrence in this movie. It every time I saw her on screen, I was like, "Oh my God, it's Jennifer Lawrence!" And I don't dislike Jennifer Lawrence. I don't, but it was to me it was uncanny, and it was like one of those things that like once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it.
Yeah.
Was it just me, or am I off base?
I didn't think Jennifer Lawrence specifically. The
Okay.
girl that I was thinking of, and I'm going to have a hard time remembering her name, but she was in the most recent season of White Lotus. I don't know if you've seen that show or not, but
I only saw the first season.
Okay, so she is crap. I was looking this up. I was hoping I could find it before I started talking about it, but she is her I'm trying to think of what else she was in. She was in a couple other things, and she's Haley Lou Richardson is her name. That's what she's in.
Okay.
That's her name is, and she's been in some other stuff. She's a younger actress. She looks a lot like her, in my opinion, but different at the end of the day. So
Okay.
it wasn't her, but yeah, I could see the Jennifer Lawrence tie-in for sure.
Okay.
I was
And
surprised
again,
though that you didn't say the kill in the opening scene with the that was in the trailer when Ghostface rolls over and the girl
it was
falls
great.
on the
It was
knife.
very good.
That was pretty good. I was a little bit embarrassed about how much I liked being back in that house in that opening scene.
Oh,
Like I was like, this is shameless pandering at this point, but I also really enjoyed that part.
so did you listen to the, do you still listen to Now Playing?
I do, yeah. Well, I
Okay.
try. There's a lot of stuff
Okay.
behind the paywall now, so I
Okay.
don't get to it as much. But did they do a Scream
There,
7 or no?
they did. They did.
Oh, cool. I
And
want to listen
yeah,
to it.
and so they pointed out. So again, I don't want to steal this. They pointed out. They generally did not like the movie. Two of three of them did not like the movie.
Mhm.
And I do want to get into this. There's a lot of hate for this movie out there, and I don't quite understand it, but I'll get there in a minute. But they pointed out, so Woodsboro is in California.
Yeah.
Apparently this is Pine Grove actually in, is that a real town in Indiana? Does that exist?
Indiana?
That's where this movie takes place. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't even I
Right.
didn't even know that. How did I fucking miss that? That's great.
Well,
I
it was a dropped, like it was quiet. Like they mentioned it once, but yeah, it's Pine Grove, Indiana, which I don't know if that's a real town or not. So, but one of the things that they pointed out is how, like, the mental leaps you have to take going from, getting Anna Camp and this orderly who are, the orderly was working in a psych ward in Indiana, and Anna Camp just happens to find a house that's next door to city. I don't know. It's a lot of mental gymnastics to get from Woodsboro via New York to Indiana. I don't know. It was just that, and they pointed it out, and I wanted to call it out.
So here's the thing that tripped me up, and maybe this is just me not having watched Scream 6 in a while, but like they did a couple of funny little drop lines, like Neve Campbell says, "Yeah, I didn't make it to New York" or whatever. Like, why did they keep leaning on that? Like, I know the last movie was in New York, but why is there some kind of implication that Neve Campbell should have been in New York?
Well, I think that's Scream being meta because Neve Campbell wasn't in Scream 6.
Okay, all right,
I think that's what
I thought, but it almost felt like they were trying to weave it into the story. Like, you weren't in New York. Well, why should she have been there? Why would she have been anywhere else? I didn't quite put together those pieces, but
I think that's them being meta. Yeah, I think that's them being meta. Yeah.
Then that makes sense. But yeah, okay. So I just Googled it. Pine Grove is absolutely a fictional town that is in Indiana. So no, it's not. It didn't look like Indiana. It looked very quaint. It looked more like a Saugatuck, like a Michigan sort of lake town kind of thing, where it was like these nice outdoor shops and all that. But I get why they didn't like the movie. Like, if I really love Scream and I really wanted to see the ball moved forward, they didn't do it. Like, I don't think they really took any chances. They played it way too safe. They didn't kill any of the major characters. They didn't do anything from a story perspective that was different or unique. It was just another sort of hack and slash, run from the bad guy, trip on the on the log kind of thing. There was no real reason. There was nothing. I think this is going to end up being forgettable, like Scream 4, and Scream 5 was a little bit better, but I sort of lump it into that very, it was entertaining, but it was forgettable. Like, it just didn't mean anything. They're not trying to really push the story forward anymore. They're just trying to find a reason to tell another story.
Yeah, I thought back, and I wish I had time to go back and listen to our conversations. But I thought back to, because we had talked quite a bit about Scream 5, Scream 6, and kind of our thoughts coming into Scream 7. And I think as we move forward into Scream 8, I think we're going to have very similar conversations about Scream 8, to your point, right? This one didn't really do much, right? I mean, we're still going to have the same questions about who the killer is, why there would be, like why they would care about Sydney. Now at this point, we don't have the intrigue that is Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega. I do think, and I can only imagine they did this on purpose. I do think that they did not definitively close the idea that Stu is dead. I still think they could bring him back if they wanted to, they could. But and again, I think at this point, a lot of the things that we have talked about, I don't think at this point you could ever have Sydney be the killer now. I don't think at this point you could ever have Gail be the killer. I don't think it.
I agree. That ship has sailed. I think you could still kill them, but I don't think that they could be the killer. I still think that would be infinitely more interesting than what they're doing right now. But
I agree. At this point, Scream is really, it has turned into the movies that it originally parodied back in the day, right? There's nothing smart about it anymore.
Right. It's just cheap thrills. And if that's what you want, then that's cool. That's exactly what you're going to get. But I agree with that. Did you see, I think they just broke it today or maybe yesterday, that they did actually film an alternate ending where Matthew Lillard was the killer in Scream 7.
I did not. No.
Like it wasn't even just conceived, it was filmed. So maybe it ends up on a DVD. I don't know. But they had actually toyed with the idea during the writing process that they were going to bring him back. But they actually showed it to a test audience, and the test audience didn't like it.
Really?
And what they determined from it was that essentially, like, him being alive still was not ultimately what the audience wanted to see, which I had the same reaction as you did. I was very surprised by that, but also, like, who knows how the execution was. Like, they could have done it very poorly, and in which case, like, people would have like, this is stupid. Like, if you're not going to do it right, then don't do it. And so they took a different approach. But
so let me ask you this. Let's just say we got the exact same movie that we did, but instead of Anna Camp and Ethan, it was Stu. Would you have been more satisfied with that?
It's tough. It depends on how it plays out. And it's funny you should ask me that question, because I was going to ask you the exact opposite question. If Matthew Lillard had not been in this movie at all, what would you have thought? I mean, they would have had to have made it very differently. So it's almost not a fair question. But if they weren't leaning so heavily on the nostalgia, if the movie didn't start in Woodsboro at Stu Macher's house, if Stu hadn't shown up and we hadn't had that moment, even if it was very brief, that we thought he was still alive, is there anything in this movie that gets us excited about them making another one?
No, I mean, I would have been excited because it's a Scream movie and I enjoy Scream, but I would have been really let down, I think. Like if I watched this movie and you took all the Stu bits out of it, I think I would have been really let down.
Which tells me we may see him in Scream 8, because I'm willing to bet that a lot of people feel the same way. Yeah. But I don't know what the challenge is. I don't know if it's the studio that doesn't want to take any chances. I don't know if it's the fact that I think Kevin Williamson directed this one, right?
He did.
So
he did.
I assume he wrote it or had a part in writing it. He did. And he directed it as well. So I don't know where the disconnect is. Why this? Why is it? It may not be. I mean, it's obviously clicking with people because it made a tremendous amount of money, but also, on the flip side of that, the reviews are they're not overwhelmingly positive. They're not overwhelmingly terrible, but it's pretty split as far as what people think. And I think as an individual movie, it's fine. As a sixth sequel of a series like this, it's like, what are we doing? Where are we going?
Right.
This is just copy paste. It's Call of Duty.
I think you just nailed it. And we can kind of wrap up this Scream conversation on this point. I think you nailed it. Like we are getting to the point where we're so far away from that original movie, and there's so few characters that are still alive from that original character. You know what I mean? Like we're
Yeah.
just gonna get to the point, unless you do a Halloween thing where you fast forward fucking 30 years. Unless you bring Stu back, you're kind of done, right? I mean, there's
Yeah.
really
Well,
nothing left. Like there's like we mentioned connective tissue. There's almost nothing left.
that's true, but here's what I would argue against that is that if it hadn't been for the fact, and I don't remember the all of the details, but if it hadn't been for the fact that they shit can Melissa Barrera over this, I think that they
Mhm.
would have been able to take this a little bit further
Oh, I agree,
because
100%,
I feel like
100%.
Jenna Ortega and Melissa Barrera and the core four and all of that, I felt like they breathed some new life into this series. And I think
They did.
I guarantee you, Nev Campbell would not be back for Scream 7 if that whole thing hadn't have happened because they wouldn't pay her. They wouldn't need to. Why bring her back? There's no point. So I, I think that they could have potentially essentially rebooted the entire series with these new characters and carried it forward and done some different things or maybe even done the same things, but it would have been at least fresh with different actors and actresses. But like you bring Nev Campbell back, who's been through all this shit, and then you bring Courtney Cox back, who is not contributing anything to the series anymore, in my opinion. I guess she was executive producer on this movie, which I thought was really interesting. But um, ultimately, like, what are they doing? What are we doing with these characters? Like, sorry, I'm gonna invoke Kylo Ren again. Let the past die.
Yeah,
It's. I think we need to move forward because, but how are we gonna do that when this makes the most box that any
yeah,
Scream movie ever did? So we'll see Neve Campbell again. We'll see Scream again. We'll probably potentially see Matthew Lillard again. We'll see Courtney Cox again. I mean, it's just got to keep happening until people stop going to see it, which I
yeah.
don't want that to happen. But also, how do we invoke change? How do we push things forward? I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see in about 2 years. See how
Probably.
that next entry goes. Um, all right, that was good.
That was good. That was
What
great.
what else do you got tonight?
Let's see. Well, I mean, all right. Let's inject our usual wrestling
Yes,
uh, conversation into this whole thing. I went to Monday Night Raw this last week, this couple days ago in Indianapolis that took place down at Game Bridge, downtown Indianapolis. And at the very last second, later in the afternoon on that day, I got tickets and I took both my daughters to the show. I took Olive, who is the one that I've been going to a handful of shows with, and then Cece, my oldest, who likes wrestling, but she's not super passionate about it specifically, which is fine. That's not a criteria by any means, but I think she likes it more because she's trying to like she wants to just be a part of everything, and I totally understand that. I get that, and we went to the wrestling thing and. We went to Monday Night Raw. It was amazing. We had the most fun we could have possibly had. I was so in love with the way that Cece was reacting to everything. She was jumping out of her seat. She was fist pumping. She was putting her hands over her face when she saw something that was crazy. And she had the greatest time. And I just really loved that. It made me feel so good. And Olive had a great time too. It was a really good show. I don't remember if you said you watched it actually live or if you just like caught some highlights, but there were some great matches. We saw a title change. Every single time I've been to an event with Olive, there has been a title change of some kind. So she's good luck as far as that is concerned. But we had a fantastic time. We got to see so many people. We saw CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Rhea Ripley, Gunther, Seth Rollins, Logan Paul, Penta, Dominic Mysterio. It was stacked for a Monday Night Raw. It was
Danhausen.
stacked, and
Danhausen.
Danhausen, which was a big eye roll at the Elimination Chamber. But I don't know, like he might be somebody. He's the next R-Truth, the next um, Santino Marella.
Santino Marella. Yeah.
he's gonna be, I think, worth watching. I think it's gonna be fun. I don't know what he's gonna bring to it, but yeah. So it was cool. We had a really great time. That promo at the end with Punk and Roman was intense. It was crazy. It was really funny. There were no women's matches on the actual show, which was a little disappointing. There was one women's dark match. There were two dark matches. There was Grayson Waller versus that Royce, whatever his name is, that one of the new guys.
Keys.
At,
Yeah.
yeah, Royce Keys, and then Ivy Nile versus this other girl's name that I can't remember for the life of me. Somebody that I don't know. I don't think she's a regular on the roster. I wish I could find out though, because she beat Ivy Nile, and it was a pretty good match.
Oh, really?
But
Okay.
but yeah, it was such a fun time. If we're lucky, we get to go to one of these things like maybe once a year. And, we got crappy seats. It wasn't anything super special. We didn't go buy a bunch of merch or anything like that. We just kind of went to have fun. And Jey Uso was there. The Usos showed up, or Jimmy wrestled. Uh, who was it? Oh, I'm blanking out now. But Jimmy was there, and Jay came out of the crowd, and Cece was yeeting with everybody else. So it was really cool. We had a lot of fun. Wrestling, as we've talked about time and time again, this is the most fun time to be a wrestling fan, because we're ramping towards WrestleMania, which is a little over a month away.
Yeah.
So it was cool.
Did you watch Elimination Chamber?
I did.
Yeah.
We watched, Olive and I watched that live, and it was fine. It was okay. I've seen better Elimination Chambers. I loved the finish of the men's match. I thought that was great. I love to see Randy Orton
Yes.
win that match. He's on his way to WrestleMania to face somebody for the title.
Yeah.
As you probably know, not the collective we, Drew McIntyre, who is the champion, is going to face Cody Rhodes Friday night for the title. I think it would be an ideal time to turn Cody heel, have him beat Drew McIntyre, and go against Randy Orton at WrestleMania for the title.
As a heel.
Randy as a heel, and let Randy take the title from him, like for his 15th or whatever his number is at this point.
Yeah.
I think that would be cool. I think that'd be a great opportunity to turn Cody heel, which is something that has been speculated for a long time. And yeah, I think that would be a really neat opportunity to do that. So who knows what it's actually going to end up being, though? Could be a three-way, four-way match for the title.
Yeah.
No way of knowing.
I have seen an inordinate amount of stories about the build to WrestleMania, how it's down, how kind of the business is in a tailspin, like all sorts of like headlines. I'm sure you've seen those kind of things. And I wanted to kind of get your take on where your head is at coming into WrestleMania. And rather than spring this on you, I'm happy to kind of give you my take first and let you react, or if you would rather go and I'll react to you. I don't particularly care, but I do have kind of a, okay. I tend to agree with a lot of the stuff that I've read. I am probably, and again, we're sitting here 7 weeks from WrestleMania ish, 6 weeks, something like that. And the thing that I'm most excited about with WrestleMania, which is probably the case every year, is the fact that I'm going to watch it with you live for the first time in 5 or 6 years, which is amazing.
Yes. 5 years. It's crazy
is it 5
how
years?
long
Yeah.
it's been. I think it is. Yeah.
But I'll be honest with you, like the card itself right now, and again, I'm sure it'll change 100 times. Like I'm just not all that intrigued with the build right now. Yeah. Now, I understand there's a lot of injuries, a lot of stuff is going to change, this, that, and the other thing. But like, there's just a lot of stuff right now in WWE that I'm really kind of bummed about, right? It's like, and a lot of it is like even outside the ring, right? It's the lack of the WWE network and the fact that we got to pay all this money to, it's difficult to watch the pay-per-views and this, that, and the other thing. A lot of injuries, a lot of this, a lot of that. But I'm less enthused today than I have been about a build to WrestleMania in a long time. and which bums me out. And I don't know if that's just me getting older or what, but I don't know. I'm worried, right? And I think the fact that they're going to Vegas for the second year in a row plays into that. I think the fucking astronomical ticket prices plays into that. I think there's a bunch of stuff that's going into it. Road Dogg just today got fired, WWE, so he's no longer with the company. Um, I, I don't know. Am I wrong? Am I just reading into headlines? What do you think?
Wow, great questions, and a good analysis of kind of what's going on because I don't, I mean, there is no right or wrong at this point. Have seen a lot of the discussions online about people being very critical about Triple H and where this is all going, and I think that there is definitely a lot of focus being placed on the main storylines, right? Your CM Punk storylines, your Seth Rollins storylines, things like that. I I think that my perspective on this is that the build is super fun and it's one of the best parts, but it also doesn't really have how do I say this? It The quality of WrestleMania is not 100% dependent upon the build. I don't think. I think you could still have a really great WrestleMania even if they stumble a few steps along the way between the Royal Rumble and that date in April. So I'm not worried about it yet, but I would agree that they, I mean, especially when you put it in the context of what were we doing last year at this time? Well, we had just come off of seeing John Cena turn heel for the first time in his
Hmm.
career, or for the first time in 20 years. And holy shit, how do we beat that? How do we top that? Well, realistically, there's no way to top that right now. I mean, they could flip somebody like Cody or whatever and try to do that, but the fans would see through that and they would call bullshit and blah blah blah. So in my opinion, I think it's okay. The build is fine. I think the Roman Punk stuff is building
It's
exactly
on
the way that it
fire.
needs to.
It's
It's
perfect. Yeah.
going to be amazing. I don't know if the match is going to be any good, but who gives a shit at this point? Because that is, and we still have, some time, a fair amount of time actually, for that to continue to bubble and fester and all that stuff. I think that's maybe my beef with the way that they do the WWE these days versus the way they used to do it, is that like we're focused so primarily on the main event level matches and the rest of them are just sort of ancillary kind of, whatever type matches. Whereas we should care about, I remember back like WrestleMania 3, WrestleMania 4, like we cared about all of those matches.
Every match on the card. Every match.
Everything had stakes. WrestleMania 5, when they spent so much time building up all those storylines for the individual matches. Even WrestleMania 8, which was historically not that great, but you got like Roddy Piper versus Bret Hart and Jake Roberts versus The Undertaker. Like there were so many good things, like the culminations of all these other stories. I don't feel like we're building in the same way that we used to do that with all of the matches. I think we're just building the primary stories, but we do have a lot of stuff going on that could be interesting. One thing I will say that really really sucks is the Vision, this whole thing with the Vision and Braun Breaker being hurt, Bronson Reed being hurt, Seth Rollins getting hurt initially. Like they have really taken it on the chin. I think that was, it seems to me that that was going to be like the next big
Yeah.
faction that they were really going to lean on, and it's literally like Logan Paul and Austin Theory at this point. Like there's nobody else really helping to carry this torch. So it sounds like maybe Braun Breaker will be back by WrestleMania. I'm not entirely sure, but that has been a huge detractor, I think, to that has shifted the way that they've had to tell some stories on the way to WrestleMania, because that should be, I mean, the Vision should be the bloodline essentially right now,
Yeah.
in my opinion. That should be the modern day bloodline. And it's not going to be that because of what they've dealt with. But I don't know. I mean, yet long story short, I will echo what you said. The only reason, or 98% reason I'm excited about WrestleMania is because I'm fucking coming to your house. I'm coming. I'm going to knock on the door. I'm going to sleep in your house. I'm so excited to just be in Cleveland for WrestleMania, even though it's in Vegas. And it's going to be an absolute blast. We're going to have a fantastic weekend. And it's been so long since we've been able to do this that it might be more fun than spring break. I don't know. I shouldn't say that because as I've shared with you recently, my nieces listen to this podcast, and I shouldn't say that out loud because now I have to explain what I mean when I say my testicles were laminated. Because that was a dropped line on the last podcast that we had, and everybody thought that was hilarious and wanted to know what that meant. And I said, well, look up your elders, look up George Carlin because he'll explain it all.
He'll explain everything to you.
Yeah. So long story short, as usual, I'm super, super, super psyched for WrestleMania, mostly because we get to get drunk and watch it together. Maybe we can build bourbon bottles instead of Miller Lite cans. Not that we could finish a bottle, but it's going to be super fun. I'm very, very excited about it, and I think it'll be good. But I don't care if it's good. I don't care if the show's good because that's not the reason I'm going to be there.
Can't wait. I cannot wait. You had mentioned one more thing. You had mentioned you wanted to talk a little Van Halen, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not even quite sure what you're referring to. I have not been.
That's hilarious. Yeah. I mean, it's not hilarious. It's interesting because it's been rumored for a long time, but Alex Van Halen has recently come out on some random podcast. I don't even know what it was, and essentially said that he is looking to put together music for a new Van Halen album. And originally, a couple of years ago, he had teased the idea of having AI involved with some of this stuff. And I think that has fallen by the wayside, thankfully. But he has dug through the archives.
Was it going to be Stu Macher?
Well, yeah, maybe. I don't know. Hopefully it's a little better looking than that, but I don't know. We'll get there. But so essentially he's dug through the archives. He's found a lot of older stuff that Eddie has recorded, and he's putting his drums down and maybe some keyboards. And he said something about Wolfgang has contributed some bass lines to it, although Wolfgang came out and said on a podcast, he's like, I haven't done anything for this. So if it's me, then it's from, some jam sessions, or it's from the last album that they did with David Lee Roth, which was called A Different Kind of Truth back in 2012, I think it was. Maybe there were some outtakes or some things that they recorded that he's being used on, which Wolfgang's like, yeah, sure, obviously do whatever. But Alex Van Halen is saying that he's going to put out another Van Halen album that is essentially Eddie's guitar with everybody else's playing on top of it. And they have enlisted Steve Lukather, which, if you don't know who he is, Steve Lukather is the guitar player for Toto. But Steve and Eddie Van Halen were huge. They were very good friends. They were very close. Steve played the guitar on Beat It.
Okay,
like he played that.
Oh,
part.
See, I always thought that was Eddie. Okay,
no. Eddie played this solo on Beat It.
Okay.
Steve Lukather played the rhythm piece, and he played, I think, a lot of the other rhythm pieces on the rest of the Thriller album. So he's an insanely accomplished guitar player, and he is saying backup vocals on some Van Halen albums as well. So Alex had him come in and help finish it, but Steve has said emphatically, I have not played any guitar in this album. Like, what I'm doing and what I'm helping with has nothing to do with guitar. Every guitar lick on this album is all Eddie Van Halen. So the interesting part about this is that he's allegedly got an album's worth of material, but he doesn't have a lead singer. And so Sammy has not been called. Dave has not been called. They're not, I guess, respectively, both of them are not on good terms with Alex these days. And let's not I mean, we can, but there's no need to get into the history of the inner fighting between the band members of Van Halen. It's certainly an interesting story, but basically, so what Alex said is like I called Paul Rogers from Bad Company, and he wasn't in the best of health, so he said he couldn't do it. He said he wanted Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin,
Oh,
and
wow.
I don't know if he actually reached out to him, but like he name dropped a few pretty prominent lead singers that didn't didn't bite on it. And Sammy's made some comments about it. The most interesting comment I thought was by Mike, and he's Michael Anthony, and he's like, "This is ridiculous. This should just be an instrumental album. Like, there's no reason to even have singers. Like, just put out
Yeah.
if you really want to do this, put out that." So I have sort of a compromise of all things. What I would like to see if I had my druthers and anybody give a shit what I thought about it, I would like to see one song with Dave singing vocals. I would like to have one song with Sammy singing vocals, and I would like to have the rest of it be just instrumental flavored stuff that Eddie had created, and that Alex can layer whatever he wants to on top of that. I think that would be a really nice send off, especially if we're going to call it a Van Halen album, right? Like
Yeah.
if you call it Van Halen and you put a fucking fourth lead singer on it, anybody who has ever loved or had any affiliation with Van Halen, it's going to be an absolute dumpster fire. It's not going to be good.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to accept anybody singing on Eddie Van Halen's guitar other than Sammy Hagar or David Lee Roth. In my opinion, I think that's the only way it's ever going to come through. But
And
Alex
and
has fallen out with both of them, so he doesn't have either one of them to put on there.
what about Gary?
uh, I don't think there was ever a falling out with Gary. I think it was just a overwhelming sense of most of the fans didn't
Meh.
take to that
Yeah.
era of Van
It,
Halen. I
it's
love Gary Sharon. I think he's great. The new
yeah.
Extreme album that came out a couple of years ago is
It was very
fantastic.
good. Was really good. Yeah.
Fantastic. Recommend that to any rock fan who wants to listen to some good music. It was
I
really, really good.
it's funny that we're talking about this tonight. Just today, I saw I don't know if it was on Facebook or Twitter or wherever it was, but I saw a post, and it was about and the question was, at what point does a band become a tribute band? And the context was, Leonard Skinnerd is now
Yeah.
touring as Leonard Skinnerd with not a single original member of Leonard Skinnerd.
Right.
And now, again, this is a little bit different because you still got Alex, and presumably you would have Wolfie, maybe, and you certainly have Eddie. But it's similar, right? It's in that genre of, like, to your point, are you going to throw another lead singer in there, or like, what do you do, right? How far away from the original can you get?
Yeah, I think how do I say this? The exception here is that they're clearly not going to tour on any of this stuff. They're not going to
Right.
play this live. It's just going to be an album that's released. And I I just don't know how you call it Van Halen. I know why Alex would want to do it, but I don't know how you would call it Van Halen and include a singer who has never been a part of that band's history
While Eddie was
ever.
alive.
It
Yeah.
doesn't make
Yes.
any
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is I was listening to Sirius Radio today, and one of the I don't even remember what his name was, but one of the old '80s VJs said he bumped into Alex Van Halen yesterday at a grocery store and was chatting him up about this. And Alex is like, "Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be an instrumental album or if we're going to do something else." So it sounds like it's possible that it could still be just Eddie and Alex on guitar and keyboards and stuff like that, which I think is fine. Like if you want to put out some stuff, go for it. Just totally do that, but don't bring another singer in it and slap the Van Halen name on it and expect any Van Halen fan to accept that. Like
Yeah.
you guys should, Alex should know better by this point. Nobody is going to. I mean, if he just wants to do it for the sake of honoring his brother, which is 100% understandable and
Yeah.
acceptable, then that's great. But just know that if you put another lead singer on that commercially, you're going to get panned. People,
Yeah.
your fans are going to revolt and tell you that that was the worst idea, because Van Halen only exists between David Lee Roth and Sammy Hagar. And for most people, it doesn't even involve Sammy Hagar. For most people, it's just David Lee Roth because he was the original singer. So, it's an interesting sort of conundrum. I feel like that we're going to have to talk about maybe more often moving forward, because
Well, yeah.
these bands are dropping off. Like people are
So
dying and they're not
yeah.
touring, and other stuff's they're gonna try to continue the brand. They're gonna continue to try to make money off of
Hmm.
what people have done. And I'm not accusing Alex of that. I don't think that's this. I think Alex is really trying to honor his brother. I don't think he needs money. I don't think he gives a shit about money. He's old. He's,
Yeah.
whatever. But there's a lot of money still to be made off of some of these bands that were very formative for our music passion back in the day, and it's going to get exploited for sure over the years to come.
So to that point, and I'm sure you've seen this. Um, I saw an article the other day that Twisted Sister just announced that Sebastian Bach is taking over for Dee Snider as the frontman of that band for this, I'm assuming, upcoming tour. And then
Hmm.
I saw a press release from Dee, or a tweet or whatever it was, that he was basically like, "Hey, I'm not dying. I'm fine, but I'm just like, I just can't do it anymore." And to his
Right.
credit, he was like, "Hey, I give Sebastian all, like, he's got my endorsement, like, go for it,
Yeah.
like, no ill will, anything like," which I've always really liked Dee Snider, and I really like Sebastian Bach. So that'll be
Yeah.
interesting to hear. Now, what I don't know, they're not making new music, are they? That's like a
Not that I
legacy
know of.
tour.
No,
Okay, yeah.
I don't even think he's part of the band. Like, I don't think he's um
Oh, okay.
necessarily the new lead singer of Twisted Sister. My understanding, and I could be wrong, is that Twisted Sister had planned to go on a tour with Dee Snider and do some like official reunion tour, and for health reasons or whatever,
D can't do it.
Dee can't do it. So Sebastian Bach stepped in and said, "Hey, I'm a huge Twisted Sister fan. If you need me to sing these songs, I'll
I
sing these
gotcha.
songs."
Okay.
And everybody said, "Hey, that's a great idea. This is a good way to keep the band's name alive and out there." I don't think he's the new. I don't think there is a Twisted Sister anymore in terms of a band who's making new music. I think this was supposed to be kind of a farewell tour situation
Okay.
that D ended up not being able to participate in. So hey, great, Sebastian Bach. Like, who better could you throw into something like that? Like, I'm sure he could absolutely pull that stuff off. I think he's a much better singer than Dee Snider ever was, personally. But yeah, that was my take on it. I'm not sure if that's accurate or not, but I mean, Dee Snider's like in his 70s at this point,
Yeah.
if I heard that correctly, and Sebastian Bach's not that old, but he's got to be creeping up there. So yeah, I don't know what they would expect as a band past that, other than just doing a few shows together.
Yeah. I'm just looking now. Dee Snider is in fact 70 years old, and Sebastian Bach is 57 years old.
Okay,
So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So well, I mean, 70's old, like from a rock singer perspective. And to your point, we're going to start to see a lot of this, right? Like
mhm. It's
eventually
breaking my heart, man. Yeah,
Keith Richards is gonna die eventually.
I don't know. I'm not convinced. I think it's
Yeah.
possible that he might live. He might outlive both of us. I
Oh,
mean, I saw the
you know,
guy on stage in your hometown not too long ago,
yeah.
and I mean, he had as much energy as I did. And so I mean, the guy is a freak of nature. Keith Richards might outlive all of us, but you're
You know,
right.
but
You're
again,
right.
to your point, right? I mean, you got I mean, Bob Dylan, you like all these guys that are who I'm totally blanking, the lead singer of the Stones. He's 80.
Oh yeah, Mick Jagger. Oh, he's well
Mick
over
Jagger.
80. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, and they're still touring, right? Which is crazy. Or
I
at
don't think they
least
have anything specifically announced yet, but it
okay.
wouldn't surprise me if they played a few more scattered shows. Like, it won't be
Yeah.
a huge like world tour kind of situation. But yeah,
But again,
those. those guys are still playing. And Sammy's almost 80. He's 70, 77, 78, I think.
That's crazy.
He's coming to your town and mine this summer.
Yeah.
So it is absolutely nuts. But I mean, it really shows the power of or the importance of being active in your older years, right? Like like it almost doesn't surprise me when these rock singers live long, fruitful lives because they spend so much time on the road. They're moving, they're active, they're doing all these things.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. So yeah, I don't know.
All right. Anything else? That was the 3 topics that we talked about via text. You got anything else we need to go over?
I don't think so.
No.
I think that we've got some good stuff coming up. I'm so fucking excited about coming out to see you and spend time with you for WrestleMania. This next month is going to be next month and a half is going to be a lot of much needed catharsis and just relaxation and fun and all the stuff that I love about life. So I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be huge. We'll definitely talk before then. So no concerns with not having a podcast out there. And we'll probably talk while we're out there. I mean,
for sure.
Bust out your microphone, have a few beers, talk a little sloppily about some dumb shit probably. But
for sure.
Yeah.
I know Grayson just popped his head in here. I know he is very excited about fully participating in a WrestleMania pyramid this year.
Ooh.
So he is
this
really
will be the first time we have had beverages with one of your children or one of our children. So that's great. I'm looking forward to that too. I'm looking forward to him drinking me onto the table significantly because
he will. He absolutely will because I'll say it the nicest way that I can. He takes it after his old man. Isn't a good thing, but
those pictures will be fun. That's what I'll say. That will be a good aftermath for sure, which we'll share with our 406 community.
For sure. All right. On that note, that being said, that's Mr. Pip. I'm Chewie, and this has been the 411 from 406. Aloha.
Adios.